And it looks like it is happening. James Harden rumors, 76er star expected to sign with the Rockets contract in NBA free agency. We got the reports the other day that James Harden is planning on opting out. And according to reports, Philadelphia is already prepared and understand that he's likely going to the Houston Rockets in NBA free agency. Some of the reports say that it's because he was treated like a rock star there, or as a god is what was put. Basically, he got to do whatever he wanted. He's still going to get paid. Houston wants him. He wants to be there. We'll dive into that in a moment. But the long rumored reunion between James Harden and the Houston Rockets is expected to become a reality in free agency this summer. Per Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, there's a belief among NBA executives that Harden will opt out of his deal with the Philadelphia 76ers to sign with the Houston Rockets. Pompey also noted the interest between Harden and the Rockets is mutual and not a ploy to get a lucrative deal out of the Sixers, which I don't think if he wanted a lucrative deal, I think he should have just stayed and opted in. Because, I mean, if the Sixers could pay him, yes, but how much more than the $32 million or whatever, $32.5 million that he was going to get? I don't see him opting out as a way to get more money, because it's not like there's a bunch of teams that would pay him more money. It's not like there's a bunch of teams that have more money. Houston has the money. Houston could pay him. But outside of that, it's like the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think San Antonio is going to want him. Detroit, I believe, would have enough money to sign him. Like, why would Detroit want to do that? Especially with James Harden. Like, James Harden just completely disappears in the playoffs. He is who he is, which is why I think it makes a lot of sense for him to go to Houston, because he'll get treated like a god there. He has no pressure. There's not going to be any championship aspirations there. He's going to be able to just play his game. If they make the playoffs, it's a success. Like, look, it's me and a bunch of these young guys and blah, 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 blah. And I see this as James Harden doesn't really care about championships. He wants to get paid and live the life that he wants to live. He wants to be going to Vegas and going to the clubs and, living his best life. And look, it's fine. He has all the reason to do so. But it just sucks. Philly, I think this is the beginning of the end for Philly, right? No coach, no second star, not a ton of assets, because they gave up assets in a deal to get James Harden. And it's just, at the end of the day, I don't see Philadelphia being this same makeup, right? James Harden leaving, to me, if it does, it hasn't happened yet, so you never know, right? We've seen things and reports come out, and people are definitively going here, and this is going to happen, and then it ends up not happening. So maybe Philly's able to entice him. Maybe Daryl Morey is going to be able to get him to stay and be like, hey, dude, like, we went after you. We got you from the Brooklyn Nets and all that stuff. Like, come on, I want you here. I need you here. But look, James Harden's going to do what James Harden's going to do. He's not really worth it. I mean, he is for Philly, because Philly doesn't really have any other options. Not like there's a bunch of prime free agents that he could go sign and it's like, oh, no big deal. James Harden leaves. It's fine. We'll just go sign this guy over here. No, there isn't really anybody. Could they maybe go get Kyrie? Possibly. But again, this is Kyrie and Joel Embiid. Does that make you a contender? Does that make you better than you were? I mean, Kyrie's more consistent. You know he's going to show up more. But he's not the playmaker that James Harden was. And James Harden was actually really good for them this year, not counting the playoffs. And he did win 2 games for them in the playoffs. I see James Harden leaving. I think this sounds like something James Harden would do. I think that the reports have been too heavy from too many people that would know. And I just think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think James Harden is going to leave. And I think Joel Embiid's going to follow suit. Right? I mean, and if you're Philly, that might be the best thing to do at this point. Right? The whole trust the process, the process didn't work. It just didn't. You tried several different variations of the process. It just did not work. Philadelphia was never able to get over that hump. They made a lot of terrible decisions along the way. If they would have just kept Jimmy Butler, they would have won a championship by now. Hands down. Without a doubt in my mind, they would have won a championship by now. But unfortunately, they didn't. They chose Tobias Harris. Now, if you're if you're Philly, trade Tobias Harris, get what you can for him. Trade Joel Embiid. You're gonna get some massive, crazy return for Joel. Can you trade him? What would Portland take Joel Embiid? Can you get like Sharp, the number 3 pick, and a bunch of future picks and assets, and go get Joel Embiid? Maybe. If not, you got like the Knicks. I guarantee you the Knicks would give you the farm. Could you get like an RJ Barrett, Grimes, and like 5 firsts, and maybe a top end? Probably. I mean, the Knicks were willing to give the farm for Donovan Mitchell, right? You don't think that they'd be willing to give the farm for Joel Embiid? And then now they go and get Joel Embiid. Maybe you could even get like a Robinson in it. I just look at it and I just go, why would Joel Embiid want to stay there at this point? Because now if he couldn't win with James Harden, is he going to be able to win with the same team without James Harden? I don't believe so. He's not going to have another star unless Maxey just becomes this superstar, which, don't get me wrong, Maxey's very good. He's very talented. He has a lot of upside, but he's 22 years old. He's young. If you're Philly, at this point, I just think you got to trade Joel Embiid. You got to move off of him. You fired the coach. You're going to lose James Harden. Trade Joel Embiid. Get the farm for Joel Embiid. Because you have the power right now, right? He just won the MVP. His value is not going to be higher than it is right now, right? Go trade him while you can. He has injury history and all kinds of stuff. Like, last thing you want to do is play games, but you also have the power and control. You don't have to trade him, right? So you can start a bidding war and have all these teams, fighting tooth and nail to try to get Joel Embiid, and there you go. And now you're starting fresh. Could you get a Mobley, right? And some pieces from the Cavs and a bunch of firsts and stuff. Like, I don't know. I guarantee you there's going to be a crazy bidding war for Joel Embiid because he's a top 5 player in the league. And it's not very often that these kind of guys become available. But if you're Philadelphia, what are your other options? That Joel Embiid eventually requests a trade and then he demands to go somewhere else and now you lose all your leverage, right? Or you run the risk of losing him at some point. Like, why? Or he gets hurt and now you lose your value. And now, like, right now, he's the MVP, right? If you were ever going to trade him, this is the offseason you trade him. I just think that that's the best course of action for Philadelphia. I think James Harden is going back to Houston. I think he's going to, finish his career there right off into the sunset. He's going to be a guy that never won a championship. I don't think he cares. He wants to party and go to the clubs and, be with women and all that stuff. And that's fine. That's his right. That's what he's worked his tail off to get to the point. He's one of the greatest scorers ever. I would have loved to see him, focus more on trying to win an NBA championship, beat a career. But hey, it's not my life. It's not my call. It's not my decision. It's him. As a fan, as an NBA fan, I always want to see guys that are as talented as James Harden reach those heights. Because that's the thing. He's going to go down as the guy that was really good in the regular season but could never show up in the playoffs. And now he's going to go to Houston. He's not leading Houston to an NBA championship, right? Unless they just go full force, like, hey, we got James Harden now. Let's go build a contending team. Let's keep, Sengun and maybe Jabari and trade everybody else and try to go get another star or something like that. And they try to make a push for a championship. But even then, James Harden doesn't show up in the playoffs. So it's like, even if you do, let's say you sign James Harden. Let's say you even work it out to where you get like a Chris Middleton. So you have like Harden, Middleton, Jabari, and Sengun. And then you go trade for, another star, right? Maybe you go get Trae Young or something like that, right? So a guy that consistent scorer type thing, whatever, right? Okay, cool. I just don't believe that that's going to be a contender. And I don't believe and trust James Harden's going to show up enough for you to win an NBA championship. I get why Houston wants to do it because that's been a big question. Like, why would Houston want James Harden? Because they're going to make a bunch of money. They got the star, it's ticket sales, it's merch sales, it's everything like that. They have like a guy to kind of keep fans excited and competitive. James Harden was beloved by the fandom there. A lot of people didn't want him to go to begin with, but they understood. Well, now he's back, and if he leads them to the playoffs, then that fan base is going to be forever loyal to him. They're going to love him. He gets what he wants, which is basically whatever he wants, which I don't think is the best example for the young guys, if I'm being honest. I really don't. Do you really want your guy that's supposed to be the leader, that's supposed to be the star, out partying every night, not focused on the game of basketball, showing like the other, just impressionable on these young kids? Like, do you really want that? I don't know, but it looks like Houston does. And so if he goes, I'm telling you, I've made a couple videos diving into this about the rumors, and now it's looking like it's going to happen. And if it does happen, I think that's it for Philly. I think it's over. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know however you feel down in the comments below.